hopefully will upload as well as possible. It's once again, it's your boy M.K.S. Back in another video. It's took me 3 attempts to 3 or 4, I think it was 3, to upload YouTube for some reason. So I'm a bit wary about YouTube's recent glitches. I hope they haven't got a major problem with YouTube that's going to last for too long. But I'm a wee bit wary, as the Scots would say. I'm a little bit wary about that. A little bit worried about it. I know it's a first world problem, but yeah, I'm a bit wary, as I say, about YouTube because it's had a few technical issues over the last 2 or 3 days. I've noticed, so I don't know if anyone else has noticed that. But anyway, welcome to Autism or Autistic Fridays, the very, as I call it, Autistic Fridays, the very, or Autism Fridays, the very. I decided to leave the Facebook and YouTube title the same because sometimes I sort of mix them up a bit, although I talk about the same topic. I suppose it would be hard to talk about 2 topics at the same time. But anyway, so these are my themes for empowerment of the autistic community, autistic individuals and the community for Fridays, with the theme of things that begin with F generally. Hope you like it, and as ever, please like the video. Please like these videos if you'd be so kind, and share them, and give me your comments and things like that. I really appreciate that. And like, how do you empower autistic people financially or in whatever way? Yeah, what ways you think are the best ways to empower autistics? I'd love to know in the comments on Facebook, YouTube, or preferably both. I'm focusing on the Facebook screen for today. But yeah, so as per usual, I thought I'd do this in list form. So these are pointers number 1 to 10, and I won't say like I know I've been saying this week I've been focusing on autism and mainly, and I've been saying that I don't believe I've been diagnosed with autism, but I do think there's some. I'm going to use the word that means left because it's Friday, I'll say, but freaky, or in other words, strange or weird, admittedly, things about myself. But sometimes I do wonder if they're a me thing, or I suppose they're not a Michael thing because not all Michaels are like that. But I wonder if they're a me thing, or if they could be autism, or just my madness, or just my mental health, or whatever it might be. But yeah, so here you go. So these are pointers number 1 to 10, as I say. So number 1. Reason why I mentioned that at the end of the intro is because I think a lot of autistic people are really good at hyper focusing, but I suppose it affects people differently. And of course, you can have conditions like dyslexia, ADHD, or that kind of thing around it. And I wonder if I could have like every atypical condition, barring like Down syndrome or something. I wonder if I could have like ADHD, autism, dyslexia, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, and dysgraphia. It would be quite greedy of me, but. One good thing a lot of autistic people have is like the ability, I think, or that begins with F, and the number 1, like to focus on one thing at a time. And I have my certain patterns and habits, but I wonder if I could have like ADHD, i.e. autism and ADHD together, because I do really struggle to focus. I have all these ideas, and then I struggle to sort of focus. I get really annoyed if you distract me or whatever, but I do. Have all these ideas, but I do struggle to focus on one thing at a time and avoid writer's block. But it'd be interesting to hear from different autistic people who either are diagnosed with autism or think they might be autistic or whatever, and their families or experts or whatever, to talk about like how autism affects, I guess autistics mainly, like how autism affects them, and I guess with their experts and family members, like how do you think it affects other people with autism, and how does it affect their family members and that kind of thing. But yeah, hyper focus I think is a really good strength for autistics, and one point I'll come to quite a lot. I know I talked about it all week, but it's only one I talk about it as a Friday, like football, Italian football. I'd love to see autistic people get into football, which I hope to come to. Point number 2, what can autistics learn about each other, and what are things you would like other people to know? What are some facts about autism? Again, I know I mentioned this before, but I think like things you ought to know, a play on words like ought. Like, I don't know if it's called a saying, it would come under a saying, but people say there's things you ought to know, or you ought to know this. And I thought autism, like short for autism, like ought. So play on that word ought, so things you ought to know. But yeah, facts about autism, and also I'd love for autistic people to talk about, like maybe make videos of their own, like what I'd like you to know about autism, or what I'd like you to know about my experience as a person with autism. And I suppose ADHD as well, people with both autism and ADHD, and people, autistics with overlapping conditions, as I say as well. I mainly want to focus on autism, as I say, but talk about focusing on one thing at a time. But yeah, I wish I could focus on one thing at a time, hyper focus. But I think people with ADHD, once again, autism and ADHD together can struggle to, like, sometimes will make plans and then struggle to stick to them. So they have that autistic ability to hyper focus, but then the ADHD can block that a bit by wanting to do different things. So sometimes I do wonder, and that would make a fair bit of sense in a way, because I can get bored really easy, but I don't have much energy. But I sometimes think like I sort of have plans and sort of I can hyper focus, but then I sort of get distracted by different things and the shiny objects, if you like, and I do struggle to focus. I was going to say in point number one, but people say like Elon Musk said he has Asperger's syndrome, but that would kind of make sense, like his ability to hyper focus. And someone says like even when Kevin O'Leary on from Shock Tank in America said, who has dyslexia, but he said that as it happens on a side note, but he said that Elon Musk is probably the only person who was this effect. He said that Elon Musk is probably the only person who can focus more than Steve Jobs, more than late Steve Jobs. So he, as he put it, he's all signal and no noise. And he goes, sometimes that's very difficult for him socially, like if his family tries to talk to him, whatever. Like sometimes mid conversation, if he's not interested in a conversation, he'll walk off and things like that. So I think it's a good skill to have, but socially it can make it awkward. But like it would make sense with Bill Gates, like if he has autism, like if he focuses, he said he might have ADHD as well, but he says he focuses, like he can hyper focus on tech. Obviously, that's why he built Microsoft on like a maniacal focus or whatever. So if he does have ADHD, it didn't affect him in that way, I guess, to sort of get distracted by things, by the noise, if you like, or the shiny lights, or whatever you want to call them, shiny objects, shiny lights, noise, or whatever. I think even Jeff Bezos like focuses on things. And some I think says he has ADHD, but I guess with ADHD you can probably get distracted easily as well. But yeah, maybe autistic people can teach others, including other autistic people, but I'd love to learn how to hyper focus on things. But also how think about another word that begins with F before I move on to point number 3. We're talking about learning. I wondered what autistics could learn about budgeting and finance and that kind of thing, how to control their finances. If I had I'm going to say that's point number 3 actually, think about freedom. If I had, so point number 3, if I had freedom, or if I was brave enough, I do wish life was more free, to be honest, but I say I'd love to be as free as a living thing can be, because I think part of the price of being alive is to be not 100% free. I think no one is 100% free, I guess. Life has its limitations, I guess, but I don't want to be too pessimistic, but I was thinking if I was brave enough to do so, and I was more independent, and that kind of thing, I would take all my pension out and my savings, or pretty much all my savings, or probably leave just a little bit just in case, but I would not say I can't afford things now, and I'd probably just donate a lot of that to charity. But I guess probably have one eye on the future a little bit, but I would think, oh, when I'm 65, I'll take this money out and enjoy it. I actually heard an entrepreneur, I don't believe he has autism, but they say he might have dyslexia, but he says that he was talking to his wife, and he said that his wife or girlfriend, I think it was his wife, and he said that let's take let's spend this money or whatever, and his missus or whatever said we need that for a rainy day or whatever, we need that for an old day, so why don't we take it out and enjoy it now. So I'm not hugely into like savings, but I guess you do have to be a bit careful, especially if you have impulsivities or whatever you call them, impulsivity or whatever, like people with ADHD and possibly even autistic who haven't, like, you probably need support with your finances, but it'll be difficult to be more independent financially or whatever, which I suppose I'm going to say point 1. But yeah, if I could, I'd probably take all my pension and all my savings out and just learn how to invest, especially if I was confident in investing, and then have more money to give away to charity, but also have enough to be independent. Yeah, I was thinking about things you could say are freaky about myself. Not when I say freaky traits, not what I mean by that is like strange or weird traits that I have, admittedly. Maybe I'll talk about those in the future, but I didn't want to talk too much about myself. I want to talk more about autistic people more generally, autistic people generally, and autistic empowerment as ever. But moving on, number 4, I'd say I'd love to get autistic people into football. Again, think of another word that begins with F, football. I'd love to get autistic people into football, or maybe sport generally, but soccer for any Americans out there, but maybe even into American football if they're interested. But obviously, with American football, you have to be careful. But even in football, you can get injuries. Obviously, not normally as bad as American football or rugby or whatever. All those other rubbish sports. I'm just kidding. Sorry, any rugby fans and American football fans out there, I apologise. Considering you're a lot bigger and tougher than me, most importantly. But on a serious note, I'd love to get more autistic people to get into football, and also maybe into the coaching side, and again possibly using that hyper focus. Talking about football, one of the things I was thinking about for today, throughout the week, I was trying to wait patiently, and one thing I worry about forgetting things. But I was thinking that people speculate that Lionel Messi is one of the best footballers in the world, but possibly the best, arguably. There's a debate whether he's the best Ronaldo right now. And some say he's probably the best player in history, or one of the best from another planet, or whatever. And there was speculation, or there has been speculation, that he is autistic, which I think would be quite fitting. I mean, people talk about there's a romantic view, as they put it. Not that type of romantic that I would think of, but a romantic view of, I think they mean idealistic, I guess, of, which I suppose is what romance is probably based on, but a romantic view. It's not reality, romantic. But on a serious note, it's once again, there's a romantic view that that autistic people are a certain way and it affects people differently. Or like all autistic people are like savants, or all are the same, like all have lower IQ or higher IQ, but it affects people on a spectrum, meaning there's some who can't talk at all, but they have other strengths, maybe in many cases like they can be really good at art, and there's others like Elon Musk might be autistic, Bill Gates, even Warren Buffett, Mark Zuckerberg, people like that I've mentioned a few times, but I do wonder if there's something in that, like a certain type of autism, a high functioning autism, which could affect people in some way. It'd be interesting if I did have autism and had something in common with those people, considering, unfortunately, I'm not successful at all, really, but certainly not financially anyway, depending on how one defines success. But yeah, I thought it'd be quite interesting if Lionel Messi had autism, and along that story, just like Elon Musk, autism helps him in business, Bill Gates with his focus on technology and business, how he built Microsoft with a team, but he focused on software, pretty much ate, slept, and drank software. And I thought it'd be quite fitting if, like, Elon Musk had, Lionel Messi, had autism as well, because it's like that hyper focus. It'd be quite fitting. Like they have it for business, other people might have it for music, but some have it for art or whatever, and he might have it for football. It'd be interesting to find out footballers with autism. I read that there's a few footballers with autism who have talked about their autism, and maybe there's a few that haven't talked about it. It might be. Sadly, I think it's a bit sad. It's a first world problem, but sadly, I think the romantic notion was a bit destroyed because a bit ruined or whatever. Was destroyed even because how can you be a bit destroyed? Anyway, it was broken, destroyed, or whatever, because because apparently he doesn't have autism. I think it would be quite interesting or fitting if he did, and he had that sort of savant hyper focus on football and that kind of thing. It would have been a cool story, but I think they said he was tested and he doesn't actually have autism. So I'm not sure how true that is, or what the truth is, but it would be quite cool if he does. But I guess the truth is the truth, I guess, whether we like it or not. But I think that's one thing. Again, sometimes I put this down to dyspraxia, but I think, I'm not sure if dyspraxic people also take things quite literally. I know it's kind of connected, but taking things literally. I could talk more about Elon Musk and how he takes things literally, but I think I'm going to move on to point number 5. I say I'd love for autistic people to get into for playing football and coaching and things like that. And I suppose my own atypical, whether that's autistic, ADHD, dyslexic, or whatever, I normally in the past put it down to dyslexia, but it could be a dyslexic, autistic, out of the box thinking, I guess, and imagination, possibly. Although normally I put my creativity down to dyslexia. Again, I'm trying to focus more on autism and possibly ADHD because it's April, so these are the iterations. But I was thinking of some ideas like with Fiorentina, a football team in Italy, as a fan of Italian football. Generally, I thought Fiorentina would be interesting if the film series Five Nights at Freddy's, if they had a deal with Fiorentina to promote their film on the adverts for Fiorentina's YouTube channel and maybe TikTok as well, especially YouTube. And I suppose in case one platform closes down or something happens to it, it would probably be good to have it on both. But I thought they could advertise their film on Fiorentina's official YouTube channel, and again maybe their TikTok and other forms of social media. But so I guess both start with like Five Guys, and Fiorentina both start with FI and that kind of thing. And but yeah, obviously they promote their film, but at the same time hopefully benefit Fiorentina. So if they spent millions, or at least maybe $1 million on like advertising the film, obviously Fiorentina I think should get the best deal they can get. But if they felt it was worth investing, or even 5 million, I think it's number 5, the theme of 5. And also I thought Five Guys, the company, the fast food company, could invest in Fiorentina and have some sort of deal, maybe like, again, advertising on some of their YouTube videos. So some of them could be adverts on behalf of Five Nights at Freddy's, and some could be for Five Guys, the fast food restaurant, and some could be for like Fiverr, the I think they fund businesses or something. I don't know a huge amount about them, but companies like that. And also I love for Finland and to have a sovereign wealth fund that invests in Fiorentina. So yeah, look at how my atypical ideas could benefit Italian teams like Fiorentina, and also atypical people generally, or neurodivergent people. Again, I'm sticking with the because it's April, my alliterations and that kind of thing. I know I admitted I was mad, to be fair. I told you I was mad, but yeah. So those companies. So maybe nowadays some adverts you see like 3 adverts in one video, which is a bit annoying. But I do like to watch adverts if I support a channel, just to give them that support. So hopefully in the future, maybe if my channel ever gets monetized, people will do the same for me. But yeah, maybe in different adverts, not necessarily in the same videos, but they could advertise those sorts of things, and maybe they could get a deal worth like 5 million from each of those companies, which hopefully would benefit Fiorentina. That would be the dream, or part of my dreams, and then hopefully make Fiorentina get a lot more money, which will benefit the club. But obviously they'd advertise their film, their financial services, and stroke or their fast food company, respectively. I think there's another financial services company, but I've completely forgotten the name of it. There's Fidelity, I guess, which also starts with FI, just like Fiorentina. There's another one, but I've completely forgotten the name of it. But yeah, I would love for that to benefit Fiorentina, and again benefit those companies. Obviously, there's got to be something in it for them, but I'd love for them to get like 5 million from each of those companies to advertise on their videos and that kind of thing. Obviously, they promote their financial services on their film or whatever. But yeah, so how atypical people, including autistics, can benefit Italian football maybe with our ideas. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see like autistic people showing what they can achieve and that kind of thing. Number 6, as I say, I'd love to see autistic and other atypical people, ADHDers and whatnot, or ADHDers, autistics and whatnot, benefiting Italian football as much as possible. And number 7, the same sort of thing with Celtic. Number 8, hopefully that will show a positive side, as I say, to autism, and maybe like autistic people again with those obsessions. If autistic people get into football and have that love and passion for football, hopefully they can practice for a long time. Number 9, I'd love to hear from autistic people about how their autism affects them, and what they'd love people to know, and what they can learn from each other as a network and that kind of thing. And number 10, again, I'd love especially younger autistic people to get into football, playing football, practicing, and sharing the coaching ideas as well. So not just playing, but also sharing out the box ideas and seeing what autistic people could contribute to Italian football, Celtic, Italian football and Celtic, that kind of thing. And on that note, I hope I didn't forget anything. Sure, knowing me, I probably did, but I'm out. Peace and love.